Hello. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you all in person today as the Victorian Parliament is sitting and I need to be here. On the 18th of March this year, I and perhaps 200 others, mostly middle-aged left-wing women, attended a legal rally on the steps of Parliament House entitled Let Women Speak. Hemming us in on two sides and almost triple our number were the howling, shrieking, chanting counter-protesters. They were mostly male and mostly under 30. Some of them made throat-slitting gestures towards us. Some of them yelled out threats to follow us home and to rape us. Some threw unknown, vile-smelling liquids at us. A tiny contingent of police and their poor horses were the only things holding them back. The atmosphere was so tense. And I'm sure I'm not alone in describing that I felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration that day. We were wary of the frenzied mass of men who seemed more and more likely to break through the police lines and attack us. But we were also resolute. We would not be silenced. We would speak, and we would make ourselves heard. And that's what we did. We did speak, and it felt amazing. The speeches that the women gave that day, I'm just in awe of them. Often they'd begin with trembling voices, their papers shaking in their hands, but by the end, they'd be roaring, full of conviction and fury. And it didn't matter to any of us if we weren't from the same political party. It didn't matter if we had different ideas about how to reduce poverty or look after the environment or anything else. Because we all knew that we were building an unstoppable and undividable momentum for our cause, which is a simple yet powerful one. That women and children are real and that they are entitled to be recognised and protected in law. Sadly, women were only allowed to speak on the steps of Parliament in Victoria for less than 2 hours before we were forced to leave for our own safety. 3 or 4 activists had infiltrated our crowd. They grabbed and broke our microphone, they knocked a young woman unconscious, and repeatedly kicked me, an MP, in the legs. We discovered later, thanks to live streams taken that day, that at the very moment that was happening, a dozen or so men in black masks, who the police had apparently allowed to mill around on the other side of Parliament steps, performed a Nazi salute and held up a sign inciting violence. Clearly, they were nothing to do with us at all. But guess who the most powerful people in this state pointed the finger of blame at? Guess who they spent almost all their breath condemning as hateful, extreme, and bigoted? It wasn't the trans activist counter-protesters or those vile Nazis. And they were the only two groups who'd advocated for or actually committed violence that day. No, no, no. It was the women who were blamed. We were blamed for attracting Nazis. That's like men who blame women for making them so angry that they hit them. None of these powerful men published media releases condemning the heinous violence and threats that were directed towards women that day. And nor at any of the other Let Women Speak rallies, I might add. The vilification and the escalating, extreme public violence, which is repeatedly being inflicted on women all around the world who refuse to allow the laws which safeguard women and children to be erased. It's a cultural and a political crisis. I myself was told the next day by the leadership of my party that I was going to be expelled from the parliamentary team for refusing to denounce the organisers of the Let Women Speak rally, Kelly J. Keane and Angela Jones, as Nazi sympathisers. I could do that, or, I was told, I could just resign and make it easier on everybody. I said, no, thank you. And I left. Ultimately, I was expelled from my parliamentary team, but I don't think there's anyone that could say that I've made it easy on them. And that's the lesson that ultimately needs to be learned by those in power. We women have absolutely no intention of making it easy on you to destroy our rights. We're not going to let you smear us, and we're not going to let you silence us. Thank you.